Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the SimSN podcast, the show where I ask some of my favorite questions to some of your favorite people. And I'm delighted by today's guest. He is not only a fellow admin, but the architect of our interface and one of the principal members of our site without which it would not run, or at least not in its present form. He puts a lot of time into the sim, and I'm delighted he's here to talk with me today. Sir Guest, please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, this is TuscanSota live from, my office. So, yeah.
Yeah, again,
Um,
appreciate your time. I know you put so much time into this site and this community, and
mhm.
appreciate. My phone is reminding me to interview you. So thank you, phone. Great start.
Hey, no problem.
Um, so I mean, let's
Mhm.
start at the beginning. How did you get involved
Yeah.
in this world of online fake sports, as it were?
Yeah, no, shoot it. I think it started about a little over 10 years ago now. Drinking water, my throat's been kind of weird
Good, good.
today. Always important to stay hydrated. I definitely think it started in uni because, fun fact, I didn't get fully invested in football until I got accepted into my university, which was Baylor at the time. And my freshman year, RG3 won the Heisman Trophy. So, guess who had to buy the copy of NCAA 13, which I think is actually here somewhere? Hold on. I was doing a little bit of rearranging and boom, voila.
Awesome.
So, my origin into sports simulations kind of started there, at least in college. And then by my senior year, I um, found a post on Reddit about a something like the franchise mode, but it was all ran on site. So it was actually, I think, the predecessor community before this one right here. But I got to participate with them, at least with a lot of a lot of other people in that community for a couple of years. Had a lot of fun with it, and then once things started going to at least spin up our own thing, it that's kind of how it started. Yeah,
Yeah.
at least just a lot of forum posts to be updated, a lot of game planning, strategy, whole lot of lore with that simulation at the time. It was a blast. But definitely some fun years for sure.
Cool.
So
So did you know going in that like it was going to be like a heavy lift and you were going to be heavily involved, or did you kind of get caught up in it and then things snowballed from there? Speaking from experience as someone who kind of got caught up in it and ended up with a job and a title and a lot of other things to go along with it.
yeah, and to clarify, are we talking about the predecessor community or like the start of our community right here, like SimSN?
Oh,
Um,
I guess for SimSN specifically.
oh yeah. I think I definitely joined the Discord community very early on, and I think when there was interest in getting things started, I volunteered myself. At the time, I was actually doing evening classes for a coding boot camp. So once I graduated out of that, I had a couple of web dev skills and I wanted to build on experience. So I thought, you know what? I could probably build something like I could probably build a web interface for this. Like it should be fun to build. So it's kind of how it started. And I think I don't want to say I took the reins on where it began, but I think it kind of just slowly built and snowballed into what it became. So
Yeah, yeah. I think of
yeah,
all our users, admins included, I think you're the one that kind of touches the most sports because, I mean, all football, all basketball, moving to the interface, and presumably, and hockey as well. Um,
yeah, mhm,
so Rocket writes the football
yeah.
stuff, but then you have other people writing different sports, but it all goes to the web interface. So
Yeah, and so you do point it. You are right. Like I am definitely invested, at least with every different simulation right there, so to speak. And the big thing is I actually have the interface pulled up right now as we're talking. But I mean, I do kind of have to like put an interest in each league because like like on one hand, it's building out the features not just for myself but also for other people. And with that in mind, like it's important to at least be participating, whether it's like at a small school, big school, being competitive in nature overall, and just having the fun with it and seeing others have the fun with it. Because I think for me, that's more important right there. But at least building it out over the past couple of years, it's been fun and, trying to find ways to make users more engaged, but also to, give them the tools for what they need to be able to strategize at the time. But I don't know. I think being involved, at least behind the scenes from the very beginning, like it's it's been a fun experience. Yeah, I guess.
Good.
I
No,
don't know.
I'm glad to hear that. I know you pull a lot of weight, so and we all do appreciate it. Well, also, and you've kind of had this sense you have both kind of the operational side of it and also the development side of it, right? It's what has to run on day to day, what processes have to, you know, I know a lot of it's
Mhm.
automated, but making sure things
Yeah,
run
yeah.
routinely and then building out anything new features. You kind of whereas some sports or some people are able to kind of
Mhm.
divide those. Um, but
Yeah. I definitely think early on too, like a lot of stuff was done not just manually, but a lot of the interface on the admin portal. We actually had a lot of the functions set up as button clicks. So the automation pipeline that we have today wasn't really there. Like, someone had to either show up on mobile or at a desktop, click the button, and fingers crossed that it would complete and all that. But, we've definitely grown since then, but it I don't know, it definitely it provided a lot of lessons for us and definitely on the operation side with getting things afloat, working, figuring out not just how to solve bugs in the moment, but also to future-proof them so that the next season, the next week when something happens, we're not running into the same issues again. Um, and I think as a developer, there are definitely good lessons right there, that allow one to like build out the experience, but also to problem solve for that too. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and no learning like doing. I'm sure.
yeah, oh yeah. Like it's a great way to get your hands dirty and to learn how to code and all that, but um there's I don't know, being in the engineering space, there's a lot of ways that, one could strategize and plan it out. I found that like I just get my hands dirty, figure out what's working right now, what's happening, can I get the core happy path working? Because that's the important part. And then if something's broken, obviously fix it along the way and then, resolve issues that were happening. And like, I don't know. I think that's for me, it's the best way to learn for sure. I don't know if it's probably the same for you either, but
Oh yeah, absolutely. My like coding knowledge has exponentially increased. Getting a chance to actually look at a full functioning working program, and then get permission to take small little pieces, tweak them, move them around. Um, for sure. Um, yeah.
oh,
Like
oh yeah. And sometimes even going through the code base, it could kind of seem daunting the first time, like trying to figure out where everything's located, positioned, like how everything interconnects and all that too. But
oh yeah. I remember one of the first things I did was something related to secondary positions and changing how they were looked up. And you're just following that thread from, okay, we changed something here, so now a bunch of other stuff is going to break. So you're going to track all those, you're going to change those, or, we're going to add this feature, so we have to add it every place that function gets called. And then when those functions get called, and just following the lead line through thousands of lines of code. Um,
Mhm.
Although the tools at your
Yeah.
disposal are make it a little easier to be like we'll direct you. Here's every place you need to go to fix that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like it's having what little I've seen and what little I understand. It's a miracle that any program ever works, ever.
Oh,
And not as a
yeah,
detriment to
it's
you or
it's
Rocket, just looking at thousands and
oh no.
thousands of lines of code, or just knowing that I can run a test season and it can be done in 20 minutes. And each of those,
Mhm.
every few seconds, a game is running. It's running all thousands of those lines and spitting out a
Mhm.
product. And I can just do that for a whole season. In 20 minutes, I've got a test set of hundreds of data points just ready to go.
For real. I mean, I think it's a feat unto itself. And to be, I think you've probably looked at a lot more football code than I have at this point, too. At least I've I consider that Rockets baby right there.
Mm,
And you're working on that, and so that's technically like both of y'all's big project right there. But like seriously, it's a testament to be working through that and learning through that as well. So
yeah, yeah. That's the only thing I have the smallest hope of understanding. What you and um, let's see who else is working on that side of things now. Um,
yeah. I know that Kirby's been helping on a lot of the UI stuff that we've been putting out, and Jedi Bob, who I think you interviewed with a couple of, at
Jedi
least
Bob, yeah.
you interviewed with, I think it was like the second or third video. Sorry. Um,
Oh,
but
I think
I
Alex
think,
got that one. I think Alex filled in for me with talking to Jedi Bob.
ah, okay. Well, hopefully you'll get to interview him sometime around too. But yeah, he actually helped out on a lot of the backend stuff and a little bit of the UI as well. So the reason why things are a little bit faster with 2.0, give him the credit. It's not me, give him the credit. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
So,
mhm.
but then in addition to all this, you are also a
Mhm.
user on the site. You have your teams. Um,
Yeah,
so,
I do.
are you still
Mhm.
able to? I mean, do you get a chance to just play the site as a user, or is it always thinking about, oh, well, I could tweak this or do this, or um, do you get the same user experience that everyone else does?
That is actually a really good question. Um, I think one of the things that, and I guess, sorry, I sometimes take time to like
No,
process
yeah, you're
things,
totally
and
fine.
then
Totally fine.
yeah, yeah. I think there are moments where I am actually able to sit down and game plan. I've tried to at least put a lot more energy into the Seahawks as of late. So far, 1-1 on that count. We beat Pittsburgh, but congrats, San Francisco. That's as much as I'll say right there. Yeah, but but yeah, like I still put in time to like doing recruiting, or at least put in recruiting. Check out the standings, put in polls when I do have the time to do that. Um, I think sometimes when I do have that spare time, it can be difficult because like sometimes I'll check the Discord or I'll check the feedback threads, and sometimes there's another fire to put out, which it's fine because like, well, as long as it's being resolved and it's helping with the overall user experience, like that's great. Like usually when I have time, when I have time to like take care of that, I do resolve it. If there's an immediate fire, like if the server's pointing out something that's causing like that pipeline, like the automated pipeline to like break, then yeah, I got to solve that. But in between the fixes and providing new features, I do try to get invested when I can. I think when things are in a better state, I'd like to be able to provide more media articles, but like hopefully soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I know I've had the
mhm,
chance to talk to Rocket too about that, and that's one thing he talks about. At least again on the football side is getting trying thinking of improvements, thinking of balancing and things he wants to work on, but trying to get to some
mhm,
kind of state where it's mostly kind of in essentially a 1.0 version. Um, with one of the
mhm,
possible benefits being that then he can devote more time to his user experience,
mhm.
because yeah, yeah, it's a lot of time, and
Yeah.
especially when
Mhm.
'cause
Yeah.
both on the case of the engine and the interface,
Mhm.
like we could have said, okay, it's up, it's working, it's good enough,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
to your guys' credit, saying, well, I think we can make this better, I think we can tweak this, I think we can add this, and always wanting to move forward and provide the experience,
Mhm.
a better experience for other people.
I I do think you're right on that, and I think as you said, Rocket does bring up a really good point. With like thinking about like new features, or like we could do this instead as well. Like y'all are right on that, and I do like to. Because honestly, I think during our first hockey season, I did kind of have those thoughts into, like, here are the type of stats that are being outputted from the game results. Here's how, I'm noticing a lot of the players are playing during the play-by-plays and all that, and like the small behaviors. And maybe it's from, building the engine and like, knowing, having an idea on like how a lot of the events work and all. There at least there's thinking about room for improvement, whether it's like adjusting the meta or providing new features to add more strategy, either make things more granular or get things to a tangible state where it's more of a simulation of the game being played, not just like on the court or on the field or on the ice, but also like the small things in there, maybe finding a way to add more character to the players if possible. Does that make any sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
we see hints of that. Like players have
Mhm.
like personality traits, which now are just kind of are just extra, but
Mhm.
have been included in there, so they're built in.
Mhm.
So we have that as a lever if we think of ways to pull on that. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, users are great about
Mhm.
creating storylines from data or just from imagination or from a guy who rose or fell in the draft or whatever. Um,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, it's fun to think about how can we incorporate a little more, not just in the X's and O's, but how can we add a little personality, a little bit of flair to things here and there. I mean,
Mhm.
just having pictures, little cartoon faces for the players is already just a fun dive of a guy looks a certain way, and you're like, oh, I can work with that. We can craft a personality out of that.
Oh,
Or me
absolutely.
me joking about wanting to draft redheads because they match our team colors.
Hey, you know what? And I'm glad that that you and the rest of the community have those tools and features available because like if you want to go for that kind of strategy, you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all for the sake
Like
of a story. Yeah.
mhm, definitely. And I think that's the great part. Like, because I know that Kirby, he in the college hockey league, he runs Alaska Anchorage, and I think he's tried to recruit as many Swedish players as possible. And I think Ace Wolf has focused on recruiting as many Russian hockey players for his team as well. So it's small stuff like that. I think it adds character. It's great in a way, and finding ways to put strategy on those kind of decisions too. Like there's small stuff in the hockey sim where even the nationality of a player, like there are small attribute adjustments, because that's how the players behave in real life too. Sorry, small tidbit right there, but out of the rabbit hole. So,
Yeah. No, good. Please help me broaden my horizons. I know so much about football, and I play college basketball because I know it's fun when more users play.
mhm.
I dipped my toe into NBA and realized I was out of my depth and didn't know how anything worked, and I dipped from that pretty quickly. Um,
Yeah.
Also, I have a similar experience with
Mhm.
hockey, which is that I never followed it at all, and then I went to BU and attended a hockey game, and I
Mhm.
was like, okay, this could be fun for a little bit. Um,
Yeah. I I think I have I, I'm saying this growing up in Minnesota, which is basically like Minnesota is to hockey, like Texas is to football. That's the comparison I always use,
mhm.
usually. Um, and like, I watched a lot of high school hockey. My older brother actually went to um, an in-state school for hockey, and that's actually the team I coach now in there at least. And so I don't know, I think it was sometime earlier this year, I just started building a small function and kind of building that right there, so to speak. But I don't have a lot of, I guess, go-to hockey knowledge, but it's been fun to like read in and understand more of the game right
Yeah.
there. Um, but I think, yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. Random story. My older sister went
Mhm.
to Miami of Ohio, and they actually played BU in a college hockey championship in the Frozen Four.
Oh,
Uh,
snap.
and BU was losing 3-1 with a minute to play.
Ooh.
Scored 2 goals in the final minute and won it in the extra period. And denied the Red Hawks their first collegiate sports championship, I think, ever.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Gosh,
two goals in the final. I think 57 seconds.
wow, that. and that's the fun part with hockey that I found too. Like, a team can score like so much of the game can change within 10 seconds or less even. I think we've actually had a few games where a goal was scored in like either 3 or 5, and like a team something on the board like puts points on the board, and you're thinking, oh crap, wow, like it just started. Yeah. But that also must have been a fun experience to watch in person too, not just like a Frozen 4 game, but also, just like, being able to talk about the game afterwards with family as well, your sister. So,
Yeah. What and that's the thing is that like so many hobbies that I've been a part of,
mhm,
you join for a topical reason. When I
mhm,
joined singing groups or sports groups or whatever it was, you join for that common topical reason, and then you hang around because of the people you meet and the community that you find that you want to spend time with. And I think that's true here as
mhm.
well. Like I do still love the theory of football at least, um, but the reason I've loved just spending so many hours onto it, whether deep in analysis or a PowerPoint presentation or just chatting on Discord, it is because the people,
Yeah.
because it's fun to hang out and just and talk about it. It feels very real in that sense when everyone else buys into it and you're talking about the same players and games. It feels absolutely as real as any other sporting event.
It really does. And I kind of like how everyone's kind of connected, at least to the simulation in one way or another. Like, it's the players that, we get to see week in, week out, how they do on the field, the media that, other users write about them and all. But also, in a way, it's kind of a fun way to like just start rooting for teams, even in real life as well, of all things. Like, I mean, I some like I think I've watched a couple of college football games here and there, and like, it's just fun, seeing some teams like show up on TV. I'm like, oh wait, like so and so coaches them in the sim. Like, I wonder if they're watching this or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I still get like Rich Eisen clips on my YouTube feed where he'll talk something about pro football, and I realize that I have no sense of which teams are good in real life. I only know which teams are good in the sim. So sometimes there's that like brief adjustment period where I'm like, wait, why are we talking about New England? Oh, right, New England's a playoff team in the real real sports.
right. Yeah,
I don't know. I can name more starting quarterbacks in the sim than I can in real life at this point. Um,
honestly, same. I mean, I've told family that about, like, what we've been building and all that. And, I don't think I've shared with them like any of like the player names or even, but like, they're curious with how like things have been built and drawn out. And it's like, I don't know, it's fun, just like talking about how these teams are in the simulation as compared to like how they're doing out there. Like, the Jets in real life are not doing great by any means, but talking about the Jets in the simulation is it's a completely different story
yeah,
too. And I don't know, I don't know, I think it's been interesting talking about the simulation, at least with others outside, and just from their curiosity, but also just like the comparison with the in real life variation of it too. So
yeah.
I don't know.
It gets to me. It's the same as that like when people used to complain about like esports, but like every complaint that people had about esports, you could actually make about real sports, where they're like, oh, it's most people aren't making money. It's just a handful of professionals making bank, and everyone else thinks that just because they game, they. I'm like, yeah, that's football and basketball. Like, there's a handful of people making all the money, and everyone else playing that will never get there. And I don't know, just any comparison that you could make about real sports. I don't follow esports, but I think it's funny that the people that try to carve out a problem with it, or that it's all about money or sponsors. I'm like, yeah, that's what sports is. Um, so yeah, to the same deal about if you have when you have the scores and you have the player headlines and you have the fans and the same storylines, it's kind of the same thing. And honestly, I don't think our outcomes are any less random than real life is, even if people don't want to admit it.
Yeah. I mean, it's all a bunch of we all know that like the refs are rolling a bunch of dice on the field when the broadcast is going on, right?
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah, probably.
I've said this on interviews in the past. Like, so much of sports narrative is retroactive. You see what happens, and then you craft your narrative around that. And
Hmm.
for every Jerome Bettis is going back to Detroit to win a Super Bowl and then retire, you have 100 instances of, yeah, some guy did something, and now we're going to write about him, and that is what it is. Or you get guys like Timmy Smith, who went off in a Super Bowl and ran for 200 yards and barely ever played again, or David Tyree making the helmet catch. That was the
Hmm.
last professional catch he ever made in the NFL. Like,
Wow.
how is that? How is that possible?
That is like a miracle of a
Yeah,
play right there too. And like for that to be like the final play, like that had to be the highlight of a career almost.
yeah.
And
And it was, and it's not like he retired. It's not like he was like, well, I've reached the peak and I'm done. But actually, his career was pretty much over by that point. Or
yeah.
uh, Jonas Gray of the Patriots, who runs for randomly for like 4 touchdowns one week, and then misses a team meeting and is off the team because Belichick was like, "You can't miss meetings. I don't care."
It,
Like, weird
yeah.
stuff happens. For every weird thing that you've ever seen in a sim, there's some even weirder real life analog. Um, so
Yeah.
though,
Do you have any like do you have any favorite story from like the sim as far as like narrative or like a like it doesn't have to be like an overarching thing, but like do you have a preferred favorite at all?
oh man, I mean, I used to do an article series at the end of the year about great finishes. I mean, Hale Hammond's being one of our
Mhm.
few named plays in our little sim history. Hammond's throwing a whatever 40 or 50-yard touchdown pass as time expires to win a game. Um, I
Mhm.
think this year the Eagles winning on a miracle kickoff return after complaining about Espino for 2 years is genuinely funny. Um, um, let's see. I don't know. I don't know
Mhm.
that we've. I'm trying to think if we've had any like famous weather games. That's the one thing where I want to pay attention to this year is when the weather gets bad. If we have any like real games full of. I know we've had some ugly games. I know the Browns beat the Jets 2-0 in the first year of the Pro Sim. Um,
Yeah,
oh,
that
oh,
that happened. Mhm.
there was a college. One of our national championship games in college came down to I think a missed extra point.
Yes, it did. Okay, that I think I was actually live streaming that one too, like
Yeah,
and
I think
it's
it was like
that
super high scoring. Like it was a wild game, and then missed extra point,
yeah.
and then the game's just over, and just like that.
Mhm. I think it was Baylor versus no, it was TCU versus USC. And it was TCU that scored that field goal or that extra point was going to tie the game and bring it into overtime.
Hmm.
And the kick is missed, and there's like less than a minute on the clock. And like I do remember like the Discord chat, and I think it was more the Discord chat than the Twitch chat, but like everyone went nuts on that one. That was a fun one. But I think the TCU coach took it in kind, though. I think it was just very frustrating in the heat of the moment. But
Oh yeah, to
yeah.
absolutely. But
Mhm.
again, I mean, I've seen videos of people, reacting to the Iron Bowl kick six and other things. Like crazy stuff happens, and people have big feelings about it. I get it.
Yeah.
Um, or
One of my
we,
favorite.
we just had a game this week. Notre Dame just won in quintuple overtime.
Oh, snap. Like in Sin?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
dang.
who did they? I don't remember. But yeah, I think it was 10-10, and at the end of and then
Yeah.
both sides hit field goals in double overtime, and then it went to 2 point conversions, and we had 3 rounds of 2 point conversions before Notre Dame converted and then held to win.
That's right. Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
hey, that code works, and now we know.
that code works. And hey, like I think you had a hand in that code, didn't you?
Yeah,
Like,
that's why I'm excited.
yeah.
Because I made some I have some hilarious runs where that went wrong, and the sim couldn't figure out what I was telling it to do. Um, but we got there.
And we got there, and it's a great feeling to like see that code in action too, and how it worked out. Like, hey,
So
you got a classic game out of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's something that football coach College Dynasty does where it has some formula for games based on like number of lead changes and how close the game was overall, and it puts it all into like a
Mhm.
score, and then you get certain levels of classic games based on score. I wonder if that's something we
Mhm.
could automate, and come up with like a a number by game of like here's how epic the game was. Because I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
so.
some people have play by play history somewhere. Um,
Yeah. I'd like to say we could probably write an algorithm for that. Because, as you said, like we do have the play-by-play data after all. And,
yeah.
like that data, I think, is overarching for a couple of seasons now. So, like, could write that algorithm, maybe do it retroactively, but, write in a way like, but I think coming up with the rules for that function and then like coming up with the iteration and then saving that score and giving it a rating based on the score, like, oh yeah, like every score over like say like 1K or something is like classic,
Mm-hmm.
1500 instant classic or something like that.
Yeah.
That that's actually that'd be a fun project to put on for someone for sure. So,
Right. Right. Someone
um,
listening, take that over. Um, we have enough to do.
hey. Yeah, and it's fun stuff like that too that I think are going to be nice to have for the sim too. And this because like for hockey we have like a 3-star system, and it's I mean 3 stars is kind of just like a fun thing to have at least for the in-game experience. But like in the simulation I kind of just put in a small rating together, and it's kind of like the same thing with the Heisman algorithm. Although I should shoot now I need to bring that to 2.0. I forgot about that, but
It's always something.
that's okay.
It's always something.
Yeah. Hey, if anyone's listening, you can always help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
to talk about user, you did mention earlier that Seattle, as many teams have so far this year, has been kind of up and down. You've had a couple of close games. Um,
Mhm.
it looks like we're developing maybe this year kind of a stronger sort of middle class. Um, um, or maybe things are just kind of wacky this year. I don't know. But it does seem like there's a right now a wide band of teams that are between pretty good and very good, and that are going to compete for wins pretty intensely. Um,
Yeah.
if the first 5 weeks are to be believed.
Yeah, I definitely it's been a learning curve with the NFL league, or at least with Sim NFL. I and I'm okay with saying this. And if Randak, if you're hearing this, like, no, you're not being fired. I will never fire you. You're a great, fantastic GM, and you are learning, and that's the important part because I'm also learning, so we're good. Um, but I think the strategy I've kind of put out with Seattle from the very beginning was, trying to build and rely on the draft. And you were there from the very beginning, I think. And so you kind of know how having that strategy would probably went the first couple of seasons, at least. But the things are a lot more balanced now. And I do think that this season coaching is probably a lot more important because the talent level is getting there across like all 32 teams. And so like everyone has the chance to get the personnel that they need, however much depth is needed, sure, that's fine. Um, but knowing what to do with your players, not just like pass type distribution, running RPO and all that, that's something I'm still learning to figure out. Like, I don't know. If someone wants to teach me the pass game, I'd love that. I'm facing Dallas next week, So, hey, any help I can get.
Hey man, same. I thought I had built a passing juggernaut at Indiana in CFB,
Mhm.
and we have not been able to get that working. Um, where the Browns go, I hand LLB the game plan. I give some ideas on defense, but he
Mhm.
runs the offense because I don't know. I can't make it work if I don't have a back that's just better than everyone else and can carry it 35 times a game. I don't know what to do apparently. So yeah, you and me
And
both. If anyone wants to tell me how to run an offense, I would love that.
and you've got Pilaf at wide receiver, right? Like he's your go-to guy,
He's my
right?
second wide receiver after Looney.
Oh,
I have two A receivers and an A minus slot guy, so it should all be right there talent wise. Um,
yeah.
so
Y'all are you got a really good team on your hands for
on
sure. Like,
on paper.
yeah. I think I mean, we don't have to brainstorm this in podcasts and all that, but I'm trying to figure things out with the Seahawks too, and I think I don't know if like a level of micromanagement is required or not, between like, here's where my wide receivers positioned, here's the cornerback that they're facing, or like what type of pass do I want them to be readily available on, that kind of thing. I don't know, I'm still trying to, I think that's probably what we're both trying to go through right now.
Hmm,
Perhaps, I don't know. But
yeah. It. I guess I was on top of the mountain last week with two victories, one in each league, and I had to come down this week with two losses, one in each league. So
yeah.
that's how it goes. You know, with more user coaches, with more talent in the system, the wins get tougher.
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah.
sometimes you lose to Michigan by 28, and you just got to take a lap and say, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Um,
No, sometimes you have to take the lap, you got to talk to your team about it, like have that pep talk, get ready for the next game. It's just one game out of many. Just got to keep head in and keep it focused.
mhm.
Like, could be worse. You could be losing across six leagues in the same week. So
Oh my gosh. Oh, I didn't even think about
uh,
that.
it's all good. It's all good. I think a lot of the time when there are weeks where I'm more focused on it as a developer than I am to be competitive sometimes. And so like I've I think I've kind of learned to like own in some of my own competitive energy because at the end of the day, like I'm helping build towards this thing, but we're also in a position where we're both admins as well.
Mm,
And so like I don't know, I try to make sure that like if I have any kind of negative frustrations going on, at least on a competitive side, I take it off server.
mm,
Like I just last thing I want to do is make the experience or make the space worse for someone else. So I don't know.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
think that's a good point, and you can see it too. You know, in the moment, people lose, and you're like, I get it. It can be tough, but yeah, I try to keep the energy positive,
Yeah.
without being condescending. And sometimes that means saying something, and sometimes that means saying nothing. To your point, or saying something somewhere else. Um,
Yeah.
but
Sometimes it just means saying good game too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Although I think next week I'm facing my college football school's rival, Idaho State, with Alex Fall. And right now we've both given each other consensus that, yeah, we're going to trash talk each other, but we're also going to have fun with it. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I lost to my pro football coach in college. I lost to LLB, um, when Indiana played Notre Dame. So I was
Oh
like,
no.
"See, that's why you're my head coach. I couldn't beat you, so I made you join me." Uh,
Hey, hey, that's a good strategy to have.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see what the Browns can do with a young quarterback and retooled offense.
Mhm.
We're hanging in there. Like it's a tough conference, and there aren't a lot of gimmies on our schedule. Um,
Definitely not in the NFL, but how do you feel about the Browns right now, or at least on the trajectory?
I
so
like our
far?
trajectory. I think for seeing what Anku can do. His yards are low, but he's making good decisions. I think he's like a 7.4 TD to
Hmm.
interception ratio, plus some. He's a really good rusher for being a pocket guy. Um, so I think
Yeah.
we have our quarterback of the future, which is nice. Um,
Hmm.
and got some young wide receivers that can grow around him. Need a tight end. Would love to get a quality tight end. Um,
Hmm.
and then defenses up and down, back and forth, um, but is keeping us in games. Um, in this last game against the Jets, if we kicked 4 field goals, if any of those had been touchdowns, we could have won. So I can't blame the defense for that. So
Oh
we
yeah.
are we are hanging tough right now. We're right in the race, which is what I was hoping for. Um, and then I think we have some upside. I think we've managed to, at least on the quarterback side and a couple other positions, have managed to find a way to significantly
Mhm.
change and retool without completely having to crash and rebuild. Um,
Of
so
course.
seeing if you can build a contender without top 10 draft picks. We had 2 first rounders last year. We have 2 next year
Mhm.
because of the big Carolina trade. Um, so we are geared up to open a window here in a couple years if we can get lucky on development and if we can bring in some more good players. So I'm
Yeah.
cautiously optimistic, um, but I
Yeah.
think I think we'll compete. We'll keep things interesting, which is good.
Yeah. I think y'all are in a really good spot too. I like Anku. He was fascinating to keep up with in the college game and seeing where he is in the NFL right now. I think he's like the Browns are I've always considered the Browns to be really good. Like y'all have kept games competitive for sure. And I'm saying that against top opponents too. Like it is always going to be a tough game whether you're playing in Cleveland or when they visit you. Like I've played y'all enough times to know that for sure. And I definitely feel like the draft system nowadays too, like it's definitely built and designed to give everyone the tools they need to be able to scout out, you know, the players that they need, but also, like I think a lot more players, rookies are more ready to play in this day and age than I think early on in the history. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. We're still getting there in quarterback and actually receiver too. I don't know. I think Huber is the first that we've seen like a super young receiver um, being able to make a big impact. And that's I think one where in the NFL that's actually usually a pretty quick transition. Um, so like running back obviously is dominated by young guys because of how low prime age is. And then at some other positions like cornerback, we're seeing the young guys take over the RTMs and the Amara Rodriguez's. Um, some positions lagging behind a little bit, like wide receiver, but we're getting there. Oh, tight end is another
Yeah.
one. I mean, 2 of our best tight ends are first year draft guys in Phelps and Don Scott. Um,
Fantastic.
they're incredible, and they're going to get absolutely paid this offseason when they come off their rookie contracts. Um,
Yeah. I definitely think it'll be interesting to see how a lot of these contracts go. This time around, like who goes where, especially for a lot of like the first, I guess, group of rookies for sure, at least second, at least the big talent group, at
mhm.
least that we've been considering. And I don't know, I guess from a macro perspective, at least from a macro or at least view of things, like seeing a lot of the teams that drafted early on, how many of those teams are early in like previous seasons, how many of them are going to re-sign their players, how many of them are where are they positioning themselves now, and what does that look like overall as well? Because I think, come to think of it, I think for the Seahawks, it's definitely going to be a question in terms of like how we decide here, like who do we want to retain? Because like I don't know, I like the group of players that we have. It's the identity that they have, but it's also a business, and I would not be a good NFL owner. That's what I'll say.
Oh yeah, like that Moneyball conversation of, hey, we've traded you, clean out your locker. So and so is going to send you an email or whatever. Keep it short, keep it
Yeah.
sweet.
I'm gonna look at the passive aggressive messages that I've written on the modals and I'll be like, shoot, it really does come down to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been working on that and sending some stuff to Starge, and we've been talking about it, talking about ways to like kind of smooth out some of the costs between guys that are similar in overall, that were like cliffs
Mhm.
last year to kind of smooth that out. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you can see it where the talent is there and the youth is there. The premier players are going to be wanting top dollar. And I always have to remember
Yeah.
when I'm building that out, like we have that the negotiating phase is still very favorable to teams,
Hmm.
because they're running against a program where they know what all the rules are, so they know they can start low. They know how low to start and how many chances they're going to get. So, even
Yeah.
when there's a sense of sticker shock, I always try to remind myself, like, you know, plenty of players
Hmm.
are going to sign for less than this. Um,
Yeah.
so,
I do agree with you on that. And it does make me think of like features that I think I'd love to see to like, because I think, as you said, a lot of the negotiations is more friendly to teams right now. And long term, this is something I had planned for hockey. Would love to see it in like NBA and NFL simulations as well. Would be adding like attributes to players in terms of like how they feel about like their team being competitive
mm,
or like how their contract looks, the market of the type of team that they're playing on, and seeing that take place in negotiations because it would help drive not just narrative, but also it would probably change things in terms of how teams would need to think on like, would they be able to continue to sign on a player if like they're doing great on the field,
mm.
but like off the field they're not happy about like X, Y, or Z. I don't know,
No,
but
yeah, absolutely. You could, because guys value different things. Do they value winning? Do they value being a starter or having a certain statistical? Do they just value getting paid, which everyone does, but do they specifically
Mhm.
consider how they're getting paid relative to their peers? Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, there are ways you could. I know we have FA bias in there, but that ends up being essentially the same thing. It is small adjustments here and there. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, contract length is another thing. Do guys want to be, do they want to go somewhere and be tied down for 4 to 5 years, or do they want something short
Mhm.
term so their next payday might be even higher? Like there's
Mhm.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
stuff there to work on.
Just-
But
mhm. I do agree with you. I do think that there is stuff there to work on. I do think that the team, I think you included, we did try to tackle that with how a lot of the AAV
mm,
minimum value stuff got reworked with that too. And
yeah,
so I think there are good steps taken towards that as well, on that front. I think looking back, I kind of wish that the values that we put in for like free agency bias, personality, work ethic, all these things, I think I wouldn't remove them, but I probably would probably do a rework because like I mean now that we have the experience of building this thing, it's adding the level of depth. But I think once I probably give it an off season or two. I'm not too much stuff focus on right now. But
I know. Always,
yeah,
always another thought. Always another lever. Always another. Well, maybe next year we'll get to that. Um,
yeah. Always another time next year for sure. Like, just why don't how about this? Let's focus on getting basketball fully integrated into 2.0, and then that'll be the large monkey off my back. And once we get drafts working on 2.0, I think it'll be good to focus on some of the smaller stuff that'll add life, I think. But
yeah, no
yeah.
pressure. No
Oh
pressure.
yeah. Oh yeah. No pressure at all. No pressure, no diamonds.
No. Oh, no diamonds. That one brings me back. Um,
Yeah.
I heard that one in my singing days too, because people tense up and it affects your vocal production if your muscles are tense, or if you're not moving.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. I was a runner in high school. Like I definitely understand what you're saying about stress on that note. We had a uh, we had a former high school graduate that eventually almost became an Olympian. Like he was a really great mile runner and all, and he'd sometimes run with us. But like the one thing that he gave me as a piece of feedback, also to the team, was like, don't crinkle your forehead so much. Like you have a lot of like you're running with a lot of stress. Like relax the forehead, like relax your muscles. You're just going for a run and all that, and like it allows you to focus your energy elsewhere, sort of thing. But
Yeah. Our thing was always about movement. Was that movement releases tension? Because sometimes people, especially if you get classical singers who are more used to like rooted to the spot, it's like no, you gotta move it around. You gotta let your body relax.
yeah,
Movement releases tension, and if you're not tense, you'll sing better. Um,
yeah.
and don't lock your
Would
legs, or you'll faint and fall off the risers.
oh, very yeah, no, definitely. I'd imagine that's a very important thing to not
you
do
you
right
only
there.
need to see that happen a couple times before it's burned into your memory. To watch just
Yeah.
someone go bam straight down. I was at GalaxyCon Columbus a couple weekends
Mhm.
ago, and just yeah, standing in these long autograph lines, just squatting and bending my knees, being the old guy in line who's like, I don't want to pass out.
Yeah. Don't want to pass out. Don't want to like put more stress on your back or anything.
Oh
Like,
god.
yeah. There's yeah, back when I was living in Austin, there are a lot of concerts that my friends and I would go to and all, and like, some festivals are like 3 days standing to go like see so and so perform. And I mean, I needed to put more activity back in, but like I'm just struggling to stand up on my own 2 feet by the third day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those cons go for 3 days, and I think even in my 20s, I don't ever remember going back on a Sunday. Because after a day and a half
Yeah.
of standing and being in crowds, it's like, no, I'm done. I bought what I bought, I got what I got, and
Yeah.
I don't need to go back in there.
No,
Um,
of course. You got the experience that you wanted. You got to, like buy what you wanted. You got, autographs if you wanted them as well. You got to meet, a lot of the guys that help, produce a lot of the things that, whether you've watched, participated and played, it's fun going to cons
yeah.
like that. Um, do you think you'd want to, do you like regularly go to GalaxyCon or?
No, so last year we went chiefly because my wife is a big Helliverse fan, and they
Mhm.
had a bunch of voice actors from that show were going to be in Columbus. And
Mhm.
so we went to get a bunch of those signatures. And that was originally
Mhm.
just like a one off thing. My parents came up, watched our boys for us so we could go for a full day. Um,
Cool.
and it was like, okay, we did that. That was cool. And then this year, half the Critical Role cast was there. So we went back for me so I could get some of my stuff signed. Um, so it ended up being a twofer. I think that's going to be it for a while,
Yeah.
for a combination of age and expense. Um, But no, it happened to fall in consecutive years that our two favorite fandoms were represented right in our backyard. Um, so yeah, so
Yeah. Uh,
we went back.
I honestly, like, it honestly sounds like it was a lot of fun. Helliverse, is that like Hell of a Boss and Hazbin Hotel?
Hmm.
Or
Yeah,
my partner loves that show a lot, and we've been watching that and like a lot of the Critical Role stuff recently too. So
yeah. As
yeah,
a again as a music nerd, that's how I appreciate it. I appreciate that they had an idea and convinced a bunch of Broadway veterans to be like, "Hey, come sing on this thing," and I'm like, "That's like you're incredible. Like you all sound amazing, and sometimes you're singing about very unusual, interesting things, but the vocal production is fantastic." Um,
yeah, and
so
like they're Broadway stars too,
yeah,
and it's like the production's crazy good, and like they're singing about like things that we probably wouldn't say on this podcast or anything, but like the production, the sound, like the genre, even it's like wow, it's
yeah,
fun.
yeah. Good
Yeah,
good writing is good writing, and good singing is good singing, and I will appreciate it wherever it shows up. Um,
100%.
whew,
Yeah.
man.
Mhm.
All right,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
I'll put you on the spot one final time. Bringing
Sure.
it back to the sim.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
any uh, bold predictions, any hot takes, anything in the football world that you want to call out or call your shot on right now while we're 5 weeks into the season?
Ooh, okay. I need to be careful with this one because as an admin, like I'm the engine's running on its own. None of us are pulling any levers or anything. I need to preface that and all that. But like as an admin, like yeah, I do keep up with a lot of different teams and also I have to be careful
Yeah.
with what I say,
Or
I
or
think.
it doesn't even have to be a prediction. If you have a favorite
Yeah.
storyline that is not your team or your players that you're following, a favorite team or a player who you're watching go from college to pro, any favorite story that you are following can also is
Hmm.
also fair game. Yeah, if you don't want to, imply that any thumbs are going on scales, which I know they are not. Um,
Nah. Yeah. I I'm definitely keeping up with my old team, Washington State. I love how they're doing right now, even if they lost to Utah State, that always going to root for them there at least. One of my favorite storylines, I think, is the sleeping giant that is Texas Tech right
mm,
now.
mm-hmm.
Um, like I think that user R. Carlson, he's also been here at the very beginning. Texas Tech had nothing, and they've been at like a very slow rebuild. They've gotten a lot of great talents and players. John Wade, I don't know if a lot of users talk about John Wade enough. Like that's dude's a good quarterback, and like Tech is probably going to do what their real life counterpart does for sure on that front. Other players that I like to watch, keep up with, I'd probably say Jake O'Connor at Tennessee is an interesting storyline, of course, and always talking about Tennessee right there at least. I think a lot of, and the other one I think that's shown up out of nowhere is Nick Morales from Cal.
Mm.
Like I was not expecting it, but it's been a delight. And as, someone that works on things behind the scenes, I think that's my favorite type of story right there too. Like, it's the player you least expect. So, yeah.
Awesome.
But mhm. Yeah, no, I think yeah, I don't know if I have any bold predictions, but those are definitely some of the players that I'm keeping up with. There are some recruits that I love to see, just see where they sign and all that. And I think there's a few three stars that I'm kind of curious to see where they go. And not on Idaho by any means, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, Tuscan, again, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it. I'm sure our listeners do as well. Um, so yeah, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll see you around. You're always online, so we'll be seeing a lot of you in the future. But appreciate
Mhm.
the conversation. It's been great to talk to you, man.
Yeah, it's been great to talk to you as well. And thank you for having me on the show. This has been a blast. And for anyone else listening, hey, reach out. This is a fun experience. So
Good.
yeah.
All right. Take care, man.
All right. Take care.